let's talk about one of the most effective and deadliest persuasion techniques. It's called talking past the sale, sometimes called thinking past the sale, because you have to talk past the sale to get the other person to think past the sale. You see, so if you are the persuader, you're talking past the sale, and the person you are persuading is hopefully thinking past the sale. Okay, have you ever been on the beach and some guys tried to sell you stolen watches or junk? Or, best example is the used car salesman. And what's the first thing he asks you? Well, would you like that in red or blue? Would you like that in red or blue? Assumes you're buying it. But you never said yes. You never said you want to buy it yet. So this is really, really effective. And what they're doing is trying to bypass your whole thinking and decision-making process. And if you want to get really technical, it's called forcing the presence. But basically, they're just trying to rush you straight into the sales process and get that sale. Works very well. Now, you combine that with politics or other persuasion, and it becomes deadly. So, Presuasion is also a very effective use. In the 2016 election, we saw this question constantly coming up. Will you accept the results? And that's always was assuming that he would lose. You see? So they asked him, Hillary Clinton asked him beforehand if he would accept the results if he loses. That is talking past the sale. And not only did they convince or try to railroad Trump, but it also gets all of the people watching the TV show thinking past the sale. Super effective. Persuasion and talking past the sale. Very effective. The votes, there wasn't even an election yet. At this point, this was a debate. There wasn't even an election, and they were already asking him to accept the results. Amazing persuasion and talking past the sale, making the American voters think past the sale. Really amazing technique. Now, we have the 2020 elections, and it's the same technique. At the time I made this video, they were still counting votes, and now they are asking him to concede. But the votes haven't been counted yet, right? And if you remember, Al Gore in the 2000 election waited until December 13th to concede, and only because the Supreme Court told him that's it. They recounted Florida 3 times, and he was going to make him recount another time, and the Supreme Court said, nope, it's over, buddy. So talking past the sale is very effective. I just put this in there because don't you just love Greta Thunberg's face looking at her favorite president? Okay, now, we saw how effective Hillary Clinton was with that one question, will you accept the results if you lose, etc. And now, all of the media trying to get Trump to concede before the votes are even counted. So Scott Adams, the writer of Win Bigly, he posits that the Democrats are being coached by the Godzilla of Persuasion. Do you know who the Godzilla of Persuasion is? His name is Robert Cialdini. And he has written the book called Presuasion. I highly recommend this book. It is really, really good. And it has all those tips in there. Now, another great example of talking past the sale is global warming. We are paying billions, if not trillions of dollars in carbon taxes and carbon credits and carbon penalties, and it has never been proven that global warming is bad. But the politicians they just take the ball to the end zone and go with new taxes. Now, it doesn't matter that all of the scientists, not all of the scientists, but many Nobel Prize winning scientists said that global warming isn't all bad, and it's really actually no big deal, and it's not man-made, etc., etc. Because what is the optimum temperature of the planet? Nobody knows, right? There is not one scientist that will tell you he knows the optimum temperature of the planet. So maybe the planet is supposed to be warmer, but it doesn't matter because the politicians are talking past the sale, and they just keep talking that global warming is bad and everybody accepts it. So now we have to fight it, and now we have to pay the taxes. By the way, Einstein himself was no fan of consensus. Consensus is not science, and a scientist does not seek a consensus. In the 1930s, a bunch of Nazi professors tried to make this consensus argument, and they wrote an article, 100 professors against Einstein. And you know what he said? If I was wrong, it would have only taken one. Yeah? Because if you're wrong, it only takes one person to prove you wrong. You don't need a consensus. And when you do this, have a bunch of authority figures and Nobel Prizes, that's called an argument of authority, or an authority argument. And it works also rather well. Now, combine our labeling from the previous video with talking past the sale, and you have a massive, deadly persuasion technique. Just take the 2020 and the 2016 examples, and you have a knockout punch, the Godzilla judo kung fu throw, knockout punch, 1-2 punch, and you will be enslaved. That's the problem. If you let people talk past the sale, they frame you and there's no way out because you accepted the premise. So you have to call it out. When somebody's doing this to you, you just have to say, stop. I didn't say I wanted to buy it, or stop. You're talking past the sale. You just say that. Stop. You're talking past the sale. We haven't proven X yet. You can't go to Y until you prove X. So just always be aware of that. And now that you have seen this, you cannot unsee it. Okay? So always be aware of labels and talking past the sale, and don't let people do it to you. All right, my friends, if you like this video, then give me an upvote and hit that subscribe button.